All right, let's just jump right in. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on, well, one of the most influential figures on the planet. We're going to decode the Bezos blueprint.
I mean, the scale of it is it's almost impossible to wrap your head around, right? From a garage, a simple garage in Bellevue, Washington, he architected this global behemoth that's now worth almost $2.5 trillion. And yeah, it's a story most of us think we know.
But here's the thing. This isn't just about what he built. We're going a layer deeper. We're going to really dig into the mental models, the frameworks that have guided literally every single thing he's done. So the real question is, how does a mind like that actually work?
And the key, really, is to stop thinking of him as just a businessman. You've got to see him as a systems architect. Because he doesn't just build companies, right? He designs entire ecosystems. And he does it with this very specific, repeatable logic.
And that right there, that's the crucial point. Think about it. Online retail, cloud computing, rockets, now AI, it's all built on this same fundamental blueprint. If you can understand that blueprint, you can understand his entire career. So where does it all begin? Well, it starts right here. Picture this, it's 1994. Bezos is on Wall Street, and he sees this one stat that changes everything. The web was growing at 2,300% a year. Insane, right? So to make this huge leap, to leave his cushy job, he came up with this mental model, the regret minimization framework. He basically asked himself, okay, when I'm 80 years old and looking back, what am I going to regret more?
And this quote, man, it just perfectly captures the framework in action. That Wall Street bonus, that was just temporary noise. But the internet, that was a fundamental shift for all of civilization. When you look at it that way, the choice becomes, in his words, incredibly easy. This was the very first time he put that blueprint to the test.
Okay, so where does a mindset like that even come from? To figure that out, we have to rewind the clock a bit, back to his early days.
Turns out, his mindset was really forged in the fire of two powerful and pretty different forces. On one side, you have his adoptive father, Mike, who was a Cuban refugee. From him, Bezos got this deep sense of grit, of perseverance against all odds. But then, on the other side, you have his summers on his grandfather's ranch in Texas. And that's where he learned this radical self-reliance, the idea that you can solve any problem yourself. It didn't matter if it was fixing a tractor or branding cattle, you just figured it out.
All right, so let's connect the dots. Let's see how these core principles, this grit and this self-reliance, actually built his first great system, the digital empire of Amazon.
And those early days were just a whirlwind. I mean, he incorporated in July 94. A few months later, he changes the name. 95, the first book is sold. And by 97, just 3 years after starting, the company goes public. That's an absolutely breakneck pace. And here's a great little story from that time. The name Amazon, that wasn't the first choice. The company was originally called Cadabra, like abracadabra. But he had to scrap it after his lawyer misheard the name as cadaver. Yikes. So yeah, probably a lucky escape there. And it led to a name that really captured his massive ambition. But what's truly mind-blowing is just the sheer explosion of scale. You go from an $18 share price at the IPO to a market cap of nearly $2.5 trillion today. And get this, the company didn't even post a profit until late 2001. That proves his long-term focus wasn't just some talking point. He was playing a different game, building infrastructure, not just chasing a quick buck.
So that brings up a huge question, right? How do you manage that kind of insane growth without just collapsing under the weight of bureaucracy? Well, you do what an architect does. You design a new kind of culture from the ground up.
And that cultural operating system is called the Day One philosophy. The idea is actually pretty simple, but it's incredibly powerful. A company has to always act like a startup, because day two, as he puts it, is stasis. And after stasis comes irrelevance and then a painful decline. So for Bezos, it is always day one.
And to make sure everyone stays in that day one mindset, he created a simple structural rule, the two-pizza team. It's exactly what it sounds like. No team should be larger than what two pizzas can feed. These tiny teams are then given what he calls single-threaded ownership, which just means they have one single focus, one product, one service. That's it. It's basically that ranch ethos, that self-reliance, brought into the corporate world. You give a small, smart team one problem and the freedom to solve it. It cuts down on complexity and just lets them move fast. It's pure organizational architecture.
So once he'd kind of mastered the digital world and the organizational world, it was time to apply that same blueprint to even bigger challenges. Next up, architecting the physical worlds of space and AI.
And believe it or not, he founded Blue Origin way back in 2000. He funded it with what he called his Amazon lottery winnings. And for years, nobody knew what they were doing. It was all very secretive. But then, flash forward to 2021, and there he is, flying on its very first crewed mission. And just this year, in 2025, its heavy lift rocket, New Glenn, finally had a successful launch. That's a massive step in his grand plan to build, essentially, a road to space.
And just when everyone thought he was settling into that elder statesman role, focusing on his yachts and philanthropy, he does a complete 180, a total shocker. In late 2025, at 61 years old, he jumps right back into the trenches. He's now the co-CEO of a brand new startup. And yeah, he is not starting small. The initial funding for this new company, which is called Project Prometheus, was a staggering $6.2 billion. That makes it one of the most well-funded startups in history right from day one.
Now, this is the really important part. Prometheus isn't just another chatbot company trying to compete with ChatGPT. No, it's building AI for the physical world. We're talking about designing and manufacturing actual hardware, everything from rocket parts to new medicines. It's really the ultimate expression of his blueprint, connecting the digital brain to the physical economy. So, okay, let's take a step back. When you put all these pieces together, the digital empire, the unique organization, the space company, and now this physical AI venture, what does the legacy of this architect actually look like?
And of course, that legacy is complicated. It's not all smooth sailing. A perfect example is what happened with the Washington Post, which he owns. In 2025, it went through some major turmoil. After he reportedly intervened personally to shift the paper's editorial direction, a bunch of high-profile journalists quit, and the paper ended up losing 250,000 digital subscribers in just a few months.
But even with all that, the pattern, the blueprint, stays incredibly consistent. Think about it. First, the digital architecture, Amazon. Then the organizational architecture, 2 pizza teams. Then the planetary architecture, Blue Origin. And now, the physical AI architecture, Project Prometheus. It's the exact same blueprint, just applied to bigger and bigger systems.
And all of this leaves us with one last really big question. When one person's blueprint, one architect's vision, is used to design our commerce, our cloud, and the industries of our future, what does that mean for the rest of us? What's the impact of that much concentrated power and vision on the rest of the world?